Welcome back to Brandon Sports, everybody. Hope you have an amazing day. I'm here to give you guys my SmackDown review for April 10th, 2026. Before we get into review, guys, please hit that thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel for more great content headed your way. This episode of SmackDown was live from the SAP Center in San Jose, California. This show saw Undisputed WWE Champion Cody Rhodes will respond to the assault by Randy Orton and Pat McAfee. Royce Keys will make his SmackDown debut. Drew McIntyre vows to expose the real Jacob Fatu. Sami Zayn looks for payback against Trick Williams' little Yachty. Rhea Ripley will address WWE Women's Champion Jade Cargill on her attack on IYO SKY on this past Monday night. And you have a singles match between Bayley versus Bliss. This SmackDown show, before we get into the actual breakdown of the review, was absolutely terrible. This show was embarrassingly bad, but what else is new? This is what WWE gives us. WWE has completely given up on the fact that they have nothing. They don't know how to book. They're giving up on WrestleMania. This WrestleMania season has been one of the worst builds I have ever seen. On paper, it looks good, but this show looks terrible. It is depressing watching professional wrestling in the year of 2026. This show is depressing. So SmackDown opens up with Joe Tester welcoming us to the show. We get the exterior shot of the venue as we do every single week because they never ever give us anything new. They continues to keep showing us Allegiant Stadium where WrestleMania is going to be for the second year in a row. That's why tickets are not selling. And the same opening to SmackDown, no pyro again. The same superstars probably walking in the building, whatever the case may be. It's the same thing they do on Raw, same thing they do on SmackDown. They don't even do the drone shots anymore. This show is a complete embarrassment to professional wrestling. This show is horrible, and I say this every single week, like what else is new? This show is very, very bad. So Joe Tessitore says that WrestleMania is just 8 days away. And the fact that WrestleMania is 8 days away and it feels this depressing leading up to the show should just tell everybody everything. We get a video package of recapping last week's episode of SmackDown, particularly Randy Orton's promo with Pat McAfee, attacking Cody Rhodes. We then head to the arena where we see Cody Rhodes enter the arena. He is then stopped by SmackDown General Manager Nick Aldis, and he asks him, where is Pat McAfee? Aldis then tells him Pat is not here yet, but he says he's on the way. Aldis then tells Cody that he has strict orders that he cannot put hands on Pat McAfee. Jelly Roll then shows up to ask him where Pat is, and Aldis tells him he knows that Jelly was hurt too. Aldis then walks away, and Jelly Roll tells Cody that he knows this is about him and Orton. This is about 20 years of history, that he walks away. I don't really care for this at all. I see Cody Rhodes as the only highlight of SmackDown. If Cody Rhodes somehow retired today, SmackDown would be definitely one of the worst shows. The only thing that's saving SmackDown is Cody Rhodes' presence. If Cody Rhodes wasn't on this show, it would be worse than what it was, and it's already an F. I've given this show an F. This show is an F. This show is terrible. Without Cody Rhodes, you could just throw it completely in the trash. Rhea Ripley's music hits. She makes her way down to the ring. Rhea congratulates Jade Cargill on finally using her brain and finding her only weakness. Rhea then tells Jade it's not about physics or titles. She made it personal. Rhea then says she attacked her EO. This is where this promo completely lost me. By the way, this show was terrible. At 8:44 p.m. Eastern time, I said to myself, this show is going to be horrible. And the show for the rest of the night was horrible. This show was terrible. It was 8:44 p.m. Eastern. I'm already dreading watching this show. This show was absolutely terrible. She attacked IYO SKY. She says she attacked my EO, which again, I don't know what kind of relationship this is supposed to be. It's supposed to be a loving relationship. I just don't understand why they're doing this to Rhea Ripley. Rhea Ripley has lost all of her quote-unquote aura. I'm not body shaming nobody. Get out of here with all that stuff. Everybody want to do that online. I'm not doing that. I'm simply talking about the mystique of Rhea Ripley has completely been washed away. Stop talking about people's appearances. That doesn't do it. The way she's being booked, that's why she's lost her aura. That's why she's not the same Rhea Ripley that Mommy's always on top, and the way that she looked on the Raw on Netflix when The Undertaker came out. This is a completely different Rhea Ripley. Terrible. Just terrible. IYO SKY makes her way down to the ring. IYO is dressed for her fight, even though she can barely lift her left arm. Rhea's confused by IYO's presence in the ring. IYO says she knows that Rhea is angry, and so is she. IYO then says Jade attacked her. IYO then says she knows that Rhea will get Jade at WrestleMania, but she wants to fight her tonight. Rhea then says she trusts IYO, but she isn't 100% after Monday. Rhea then asks if that's what IYO wants. IYO then says she is sure, and she will talk to Nick if she has to. IYO then says she wants Jade tonight. Nick Aldis then comes out and says he has something in mind. The crowd was booing at first, which I don't know why they were booing. I guess they thought that he was going to say it was for next week. But he wound up saying that this is a good idea. He won't let a good idea go away. He then says she got it, and tonight it will be IYO SKY versus Jade Cargill in the main event. And as soon as he said main event, I said this show is done. This show is terrible. This show is done. And that's exactly what happened. We move on to the next segment. I didn't really care for this segment. Again, Rhea Ripley has lost a lot of aura. Her being on SmackDown is a breath of fresh air, but if she's going to be booked like this, then just put her back on Raw with everybody else. Bayley, Valkyria make their way down to the ring for the first match of the night, and Bliss and Charlotte Flair follow up after that. This match was not good at all. I didn't really care for it. Charlotte threw her jacket at Bayley. And then after she threw the jacket at Bayley, Bliss takes her from outside the ring, inside the ring, rolls her up, and pins her 1, 2, 3, and escapes the ring. It's a roll up for a 3 count. This was terrible, and I actually like this new Charlotte Flair, but this entire singles, all these women in the tag team match, being in singles matches is just lazy booking. This show is nothing but laziness. And I don't blame the superstars. I blame the company for the lazy booking that they're continuously doing. This company is very, very lazy when it comes to booking and writing shows. To me, they completely given up on SmackDown. And if I'm USA Network, I would give up on them too. This show is abysmal. This show is absolutely terrible. This show was so bad that everybody online, except for people shilling for the company, were saying that this show was bad. This show sucks. And I don't hold my tongue usually. I'm just not gonna come up here and just curse and just not explain myself. This show is terrible. After that, we take a look back at the United States Championship match that happened last week. We see Matt Cardona in a training room with Carmelo Hayes and tells him that he has to wait. Matt says it will take time to get that WrestleMania moment, but you will get it. Trick and Little Yachty shows up. Trick says all history aside, he thought Hayes would win. Hayes then says Trick is the reason why he lost the title. He then tells Trick to get out of his face so he can rehab his knee. Yachty then tells Hayes he can watch WrestleMania from the couch. Hayes then says he will be coming after Trick Williams if he wins. Trick asks Matt what the hell he's looking at. Matt then says he is sick of the guests talking like they own this place, talking about Little Yachty. Yachty then suggests that Trick face Matt tonight. Matt then says he likes the idea and he's going to talk to Nick Aldis. This will result, by the way, spoiler, this will result in a loss for Matt Cardona again. By the way, let me just do a I told you so moment. Even though I don't like doing that, I told you guys. When Matt Cardona was going to sign to the company and he signed back, he came at Zack Ryder as his prize for the John Cena tournament. That went completely AY because this company don't know how to book anything. Then he comes back at the beginning of the year. Now he's Matt Cardona, and they've done nothing with him. But at least he's getting a nice paycheck, take care of his family. Because at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. Get a paycheck, take care of your family, and doing the thing that you love to do. Translation, he's doing nothing. Anyway, Drew McIntyre then cuts a promo and says Jacob Fatu is a failure as a man and a failure as a father. Drew then says we are in San Jose. Your hometown and your family is probably there tonight. Drew then says it was good to have Jacob with you over the last few weeks, but you are probably used to him here. We then see Drew in a jail cell. Drew then says this is who Jacob is. Drew then says you are a convict. So you talk about him taking food off your family's table and to look in the mirror. Drew then says you did that. Drew then says you chose a life of crime. He says they needed a father and you gave them a mugshot. Drew then says you are stealing. Drew then says you belong in this cage because you are an animal. Drew then says he will beat Fatu within an inch of his life and you can screw up again. Drew then says you are going to end up here again. Drew then says the system did not fail you. Drew then says you stole my title. Drew then says you stole my WrestleMania. Drew then says you are a liability. Drew then says he will be your judge, jury, execution at WrestleMania. This is actually a good backstage vignette or backstage promo by Drew McIntyre. Do I care about this match? No. Jacob Fatu has lost a lot of his aura. He's not being cheered the same way that he is. Maybe he needs a fresh start to beat Drew McIntyre at WrestleMania and then go to Raw. On SmackDown, Jacob Fatu is nearly done because I don't see anything else for him to do here. He won a U.S. title. They barely gave him that. He got attacked backstage on his golf months because he had to have dental surgery. Then he comes back and it's nothing. This crowd, these shows are terrible, but the SmackDown crowd makes it worse because they're not cheering for him. Danhausen is getting better pops and cheers by the live crowd than Jacob Fatu. And that's this company's fault. He was just getting hot, and then they took him off TV because he needed surgery. Why not wait until after WrestleMania to get the surgery and then go away? Jacob Fatu then sees this, and he chops the monitor, and Captain Kelly asks him about Drew's comments. Fatu says they are in the Bay Area. Fatu says that Drew will find out. Solo then walks up, and he says he wants to know what will Drew find out. He says that you aren't the only one in the family in the area. He then says, anytime anyone brings up your past, it makes the family look bad. Fatu then tells Solo, they ain't doing this today. We're not doing this today. He then says, they can run this back in the future. Solo then says, if this is where, isn't this the place where you got your teeth knocked out? He then says, anyone know who did it? Does anyone know who did it? He then says, it would be a shame if it happened again. Solo then asks Tama, and Tama doesn't say anything. Tama then says, it is what it is. Solo then says he is going to talk to Nick Aldis to get a match for Tama Tonga and Jacob Fatu tonight. I didn't care nothing about this backstage promo because they've done nothing with Solo Sikoa besides the Y6 in that family. Joe Tessitore then mentions Royce Keys, and we get a video package of Royce Keys. He basically, I'm not going over it again. He basically, going over it rather, he went over his family life, and basically they showed everything that he's been through in his life, his upbringing, and everything else. It was a nice vignette. They should have done this earlier after his Royal Rumble hype. The fact that they waited all the way until April when he came at the end of January speaks volumes to how this company doesn't know how to book anything creatively. This company is very, very foolish. They should have started these vignettes after he came to the Royal Rumble. Or they should have did it before that. With 2 weeks left to go, whatever it was, they should have done this when he first came into the company and seized it for a couple weeks and got people to know him and know who he is. They come out there and dominate. The fact that they didn't do this and they waited all of this time and he had a big debut in Saudi Arabia in the Royal Rumble and now it's been nothing and now we get this is a complete waste of time, and I just truly don't care. He seems like a nice dude. I'm not judging him. I'm judging the company for booking him this way, and it seems like they didn't care, so why should we? Royce Keys is walking in the backstage area. He faces Los Garza's Berto. He basically wins this match. He hits a spine buster to win this match. At the end of this match, it was basically a squash match. Got a couple shots in there, but it was basically done. This was a complete squash match. They should have done this months ago. I don't understand why we're doing this now. Just lazy. Just completely lazy by this company. The winner of this match is Royce Keys. After that, a vehicle then arrives to the building, and it's Pat McAfee. And I start rolling my eyes already. And by the way, I don't even think the 9 o'clock hour has started yet. We're just outside of the 8 o'clock hour. A vehicle then arrives at the building, and it's Pat McAfee. Nick Aldis then greets Pat, and Pat makes sure he told everyone. Pat then tosses the keys to Nick Aldis to be his valet. Jelly Roll then asks Pat if he told Randy Orton's RKO him. Pat McAfee tells him, no. Jelly then says he wants to know why Pat is here. Pat then says it's bigger than you can imagine. He then calls him an outsider and says that Jelly Roll doesn't belong here. Jelly then says Randy isn't here, so he will deal with Pat. Jelly then grabs Pat and Nick pulls Jelly off. Jelly then tells him to get his hands off him. Pat then calls Nick Aldis the foreign Adam Pearce, and he says he's going to save the business with Randy Orton. We then see Kathy Kelly backstage with Royce Keys. Royce tells her that this is a long time coming and he gets to do this in front of his people, the Bay Area, Frisco, San Jose, and all the way around the Bay. Royce then says now they take it around the world. Solo Sikoa then shows up and tells Royce long time no see. Solo then says they had some memories running around. He tells Keys that he runs SmackDown. Solo then says if there's anything Royce needs, his door is always open. I don't care nothing about this either. Nothing on this show was good tonight. I'm just going over SmackDown review because I like reviewing these shows, just telling you how horrible it is. I wish it was good so I could come on and give you guys a positive review, but these shows are not good. But I love doing what I do. I love the content that I make, so I'm just going to continuously do it. Pat McAfee hits in one of the worst promos ever cut in the history of this business. Pat McAfee music then hits. He makes his way down to the ring. The fans boo Pat McAfee, deservingly so. Pat says to cut his music. Pat then says San Jose is basically what a shithole. Pat then gives them the finger. Pat then says it's crazy they boo him because he is the hero in this entire thing. Pat then says they cheer for the spineless bums like CM Punk. Then the fans start to chant CM Punk. Pat then asks him if they like what Punk said about him on Monday, about calling him Pat McAfee. Pat then says, as Punk was talking about more important people than him, famous and in shape than he is, it is hard for him to get behind the fact that Punk was wearing a WWE jacket. Pat then says he has 280 things for sale, and when that TKO merch check comes through, which account does it go to? Pat then says, does it go to the needy wrestling families that can't afford WrestleMania tickets, or does it go to the bank account titled, I'm sorry, Saudi Arabia? This did not hit at all. This is absolutely terrible. Pat then goes on to say CM Punk is a fraud, he's a politician. Punk then says he's all talk, no action. Pat then says a man who has the opportunity to change things, but he gets in the room, sits down, and gets on his stomach and rolls over like a little bitch that he is. Pat then says he is the main man of action and an agent of change. Pat then says everything Punk says, Punk is, and he actually is. Pat then says Punk mentioned tickets are too high, especially when Punk is one of the main events. He agrees with him. Pat then says if it wasn't for Orton, why would anyone would spend their money watching WrestleMania? And then you guys wonder why nobody's buying tickets to WrestleMania and why the fans are upset about the product, because you're having a guy go out there basically telling the fans they shouldn't buy WrestleMania unless Randy Orton's not on it. This is ridiculous. Pat then said he decided to be the hero in this situation. He then calls one of the fans a fatso. This was completely off the rails. This is completely boring, completely just stupid. Pat then says even if they don't deserve it, he says that he decided to help the fans out. Pat then says he called Ram Trucks to sponsor WrestleMania, and they asked him to pick up 25% of the bill for anyone who buys WrestleMania ticket on Saturday from now until Monday Night Raw. Pat then says he wouldn't recommend anyone going to Sunday's show, which again, why would you say that to the biggest show in the company's history? I don't get it. Not in the company's history, rather, but in the entire company for the year. WrestleMania is their big ticket, followed by SummerSlam, and you're saying this. This made no sense, and this promo was terrible. Pat then says on Saturday night, Randy Orton will save the business, winning his 15th world title. Pat then asks if they ever won a Stanley Cup in his San Jose. They start booing him. Pat then says Randy Orton would demoralize him pummel the puppet who is the current champion, and basically Cody Rhodes' music hits, he interrupts, he makes his way down to the ring. Cody then tells Pat he is going out on a limb and says he doesn't belong here. Cody then says he knows that he cannot touch Pat, but he can give Pat a replica title and he can go to the back and do your favorite entrance to get pyro like they do at basically Fanatics Fest or WWE World every single year. Cody then says he can go back to whoever injected you into this and say thank you, daddy, basically talking about Iron Manuel. Cody then says the term play wrestler never meant anything to him until he was under Randy Orton, hearing you spit out lines about the Attitude Era. Cody then says that was 30 years ago. Cody then says Randy Orton debuted in 2002. Cody then says that he was basically in high school. Cody then says there was a promoter named Paul Bosch. Sorry if I got the name wrong. Cody then says you said IWC and marks. Cody then says you talked about making a business great again. Cody then says you do know what Paul said about people who call them marks. Cody then says they are customers. Cody then says when everyone you have is because of those customers and are happy to be a part of this, they are not customers. Cody says whatever it is, the person at the airport or the people in the crowd, the people with dirty fingernails, they are not customers to him. Cody says they are family. Cody then says Pat has a gift and it's not that kick. Cody then says for centuries that pro wrestling has been around, they have never agreed on anything other than this. Cody then says for the first time ever, the entire fandom agree that they want to see Randy Orton and they do not want to see Pat McAfee. He then tells Pat to go home. Pat then says he is home and he calls the people dipshits. Pat then says he was born for the business. Pat then says you were born into this business. He then calls Cody the fakest person in the world. Pat then says Cody is a cosplay champion and he will get rid of the WWE Universe along with Randy Orton. Pat then says he has a message for Cody and his inbred family. Pat then says if Randy doesn't walk out of WrestleMania as champion, you will never see or hear from him in this business ever again. Cody then tells Pat to take off his shades, or is he too high to remember that you are standing on that table for the last 3 years eating your brains out? Cody then says you are tired. Cody then says you want to take a nap. Cody then says let's get Gunther out here to put your ass to sleep once and for all. Pat then asks Cody where is he going because he starts to walk to the back. Pat says you were an elite runaway artist. Basically, refers to All Elite. Pat then says him and Stardust, and where's he going to lick Triple H's ass. Cody then removes his jacket and his vest. Pat asks him to dance for the stupid kid. Randy Orton's on the big screen and he says maybe you are forgetting something. We then see Jelly Roll down in front of him. Randy then says maybe you need to get your boy. Randy then says he will bring him directly to you. Randy then drags Jelly Roll to the ring. Cody is then drawn to Jelly Roll as Randy Orton goes to the back. Pat then comes up to Cody and Randy, hits Cody from behind and hits some European uppercuts. They return to the ring and Randy hits some punches and Pat tries to do a Miz Down impression, basically look like he's punching back, which this is absolutely terrible. And the tone of my voice is telling you guys that this is terrible. Even rereading this is a horrible experience for everybody. Jelly Roll then makes his way down to the ring. Randy Orton chokes Cody. Jelly then grabs Pat and Randy Orton hits a forearm to Jelly to knock him off the apron. Cody then gets some punches on Randy, followed by a clothesline. Cody then hits some punches after Pat hits Cody from behind again, like Randy Orton did. Randy then hits a draping DDT. Pat then picks up the title belt and he hands it to Randy. Randy then hits Cody with the belt. Pat then kicks Cody. After that, we then see Pat and Randy walk in the back. Pat says it's WrestleMania season because the focus is on Randy Orton. Pat then says he's going to do something like Cody said as he drives away with his title belt. This was absolutely one of the worst segments I've ever seen in my life. This is worse than Vince McMahon booking Scooby-Doo in the mystery van on Monday Night Raw. This is worse than that. This was absolutely terrible and a terrible show so far. I can't just tell you guys how terrible it was. My review, even with my depressed mood, is better than this show. This was awful. I just don't have the voice to yell about it this week. This was just very, very depressing. WWE makes wrestling fans depressed. That's what they do. We then take a look back at CM Punk, what he said on Raw. We did see The Miz backstage. He wants to know what is going on with Dan Angler because they should have been champions. Nick Aldis says something took over the referee and he was cursed. Nixon says this is outside of his scope and control. Kit Wilson says that they have to be consequences with Dan Angler. Nick then says he can put Kit Wilson in the ring with Danhausen unless he's worried about the curse. Miz says there is no curse and Nick Aldis walks away. This was embarrassing once again. Jacob Fatu makes their way down to the ring for the next match of the night with Tama Tonga. Fatu hits a double jump moonsault for the win in this match because this match didn't really mean anything at all. The winner of this match was Samoan Werewolf Jacob Fatu. After the match, Fatu takes the microphone and Drew attacks Fatu. Drew then hits some kicks. Fatu hits a super kick and Fatu charges at Drew, but he is met with a claymore. Drew then sends Fatu to the floor. Drew then sends Fatu face first into the ring steps. Drew then gets a chair placed in the timekeeper's area. Drew then hits Fatu in the back with the chair. Drew then clinches in a front face lock, and he hits a future shock on the floor. Drew then unveils handcuffs for Fatu. He pulls Fatu into the ring post. Drew then sends Fatu into the ring post, and he punches Fatu with the other handcuff. He then puts other handcuffs on Fatu. He puts it over the ring post. Drew then kicks Fatu in the head, and he falls to the floor. Drew then asks Fatu, how does it feel to be back in chains? Basically making fun of the fact that he's in jail. Fatu then hits his head butt on Drew McIntyre and kicks him. While on the ring post, Drew McIntyre kicks him with more punches. Drew then sends Fatu into the ring while officials try to stop it. Drew then hits another claymore. Drew then whips Fatu with his belt. The WWE officials didn't get back to the ring to break it up. I didn't really care about it. It was a good segment, but I just don't care about this because I don't care about Drew McIntyre because he's leaving right after WrestleMania. If you guys didn't know. We then see R-Truth backstage with elimination stage, basically talking about the ESPN app. Danhausen shows up. He says that he's calling him Oscar. That wasn't him. This is Danhausen. This is a complete mess. And the fact that they're doing this is just stupid. After we get that, we see noise and we hear B-Fab is down with Rhea Ripley standing over her. Rhea says there's one more down to go. Sami Zayn music hits. Sami comes out to the ring. The reaction to him, they're basically booing him out of the building. Sami says that the people are booing. He don't know what they did to him, and that he cares about his actual fans that are down for him. Everybody else he just doesn't care about. I'm not reading this whole entire promo because this is just Sami Zayn whining on the microphone again. I don't understand why the company will have him come out there and do this when people don't want this out of him. They're tired of Sami Zayn. They're tired of this guy being underdog and can't get the job done. And not only can he not get the job done, and they continues to keep doing this, but nobody wanted him in this match for the United States Championship. Nobody wanted the U.S. title on Sami Zayn. Nobody wanted this on him at all. This is a complete waste of time. Carmelo Hayes carried the division for 9 months outside of Ian Dragunov winning the title when he won it from Ian Dragunov. And this is the things that he gets. He doesn't get a WrestleMania match. And we get Sami Zayn versus Trick Williams. Now, I understand that the veteran is putting over the new guy. But at the same time, nobody wanted Sami Zayn main event at WrestleMania. He did all of these things. And he's being pushed again in front of our faces to be in this match. I don't care about it, and neither should you. The lights go out and Trick Williams comes out to the ring with Little Yachty. Trick then says he thinks that people are tired of hearing Sami Zayn talk. Trick then says the truth is the idea of having his first WrestleMania match against him makes him want to wash his hands with mouthwash. Trick then says Sami hates him and cannot stand him. Trick then says you think he doesn't deserve this opportunity. Trick then says he didn't take 20 years to get here, but he is the anointed one. Trick then says he will beat Sami Zayn's ass at WrestleMania. Trick then says everybody loves him. Sami then says they don't love him. Sami says that it takes a long time to build love. The crowd is booing him and booing him and booing him, and I agree with them. Sami then says they like you and they have a crush on you. He says that he dressed like a New York 1970s pimp, which I really found that funny because it was a terrible line. Sami says they are infatuated with you. Sami then tells Trick to take off the sunglasses while he's talking to him. Sami then says you can make all the jokes that you want to, but you're going to be in the ring with him at WrestleMania. You're in the ring with him with the WrestleMania main eventer. Sami then says you are their future, but you haven't shown him everything. Sami then says you will show if you can walk the walk or just talk the talk. Yachty then says you are going to take everything away from him, but that doesn't make Trick Williams. He then says he will be the new United States Champion. This was boring. Besides Trick Williams looking great in this entire exchange verbally with the promo, this entire thing by Sami Zayn is absolutely terrible. Absolutely horrible by Sami Zayn. I don't know what the company is doing, but it's boring. Sami Zayn gets on the apron because now we have Sami Zayn is out there during Little Yachty and Trick Williams being out there for Trick Williams versus Matt Cardona. Trick Williams hit the trick shot for the win after Little Yachty pulls Sami Zayn down off the apron. He basically hits a haluva kick on Little Yachty, and Trick Williams gets the win after this match. The winner of this match was Trick Williams. This wasn't really nothing to write home about. Again, this was a boring show, and Matt Cardona is just as boring as this show is. I told you guys they would do nothing with him. We'll then take a look back at the contract signing segment on Raw between Brock Lesnar and Obafemi. After that, Danhausen makes his way down to the ring for the next match of the night with Kit Wilson and The Miz following. After that, Kit Wilson climbs to the top of the rope, but Danhausen sits up like The Undertaker, which I don't know why they continuously keep doing this. Danhausen didn't, and I'm not saying with Danhausen, by the way. I'm talking about just Nia Jax did it one time, Danhausen did it. It was just a lot of stuff that they shouldn't be doing. One thing you shouldn't be doing is a tombstone and sitting up. That's for The Undertaker only. This is not Kevin Owens doing a Stone Cold Stunner and just letting it go. No. You sit up in the tombstones for The Undertaker, and that's it. Unless Undertaker gives you his blessing, that's it. So Kit Wilson climbs up to the top rope, but Danhausen sits up. Danhausen says you are cursed, and a pyro goes off behind Kit Wilson. He falls down to the turnbuckle. Miz gets on the ring apron. Danhausen then pokes him in the eye. Danhausen hits a kick to the face for the win. After this, the Miz tries to hit a skull crusher finale, but the lights go out and you see Danhausen running away from the ring. We then head to the back. We see Jade Cargill. She is basically, somebody's making noises, Meechin saying that what happened to her, and she said that was Rhea Ripley. After that, it is announced that next week they will have the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, and the Wyatts will face MFTs in an 8-man street fight. Which again, this is making up for the fact that so many people are not going to be on WrestleMania. This is just boring, awful, and stupid. We then see IYO SKY in the back with Rhea Ripley, ask her if she's good. They're basically holding each other. I don't care about none of this. This is terrible. Rhea Ripley's horrible. They're going to give her the title at WrestleMania. She deserves it at this point because they're not doing anything with Jade Cargill. I told you guys I like Jade Cargill, but enough is enough of this. Let Rhea win the title and put Jade Cargill on Raw and bring some women over to SmackDown and just reshuffle it. That's it. They're backstage basically holding each other and talking about, stay back here, I don't want any distractions, and blah, blah, blah. This was actually a good match between Jade Cargill. She actually put on a good match, which I'll give her credit for this. Again, I like her a lot, but this was a good match between them. Jade hits Jade for the win and pins her 1, 2, 3. After the match is over, Jade grabs a chair from ringside, but Rhea Ripley's music hits and she makes her way out to the ring. Rhea then gets into the ring and both women are face to face. Jade then throws a chair to the outside of the ring and Jade leaves the ring. Jade then walks to the back as the show comes to a close. This entire show is absolutely garbage. I can't say it from I can't keep repeating myself. This show is terrible. Pat McAfee has ruined the Randy Orton match. This WrestleMania is not exciting at all. This WrestleMania is not exciting. I just want to see the show just to judge it and rip it apart, just in case if it's bad, which we all know WrestleMania is probably going to be bad, especially night one. The night one card, everything on paper looks good, but the storytelling and everything that's coming up to it, it looks terrible. We have IYO Speed that might kick off WrestleMania. Like, what are we doing? No disrespect to IYO Speed, but nobody cares about this. We want wrestling to be wrestling. We want the storylines to be good, and this is what we get. This is what fans get for tuning into this show. 3 hours of nothing. This show was so bad that at 8:44 p.m. Eastern Time, I already knew that this show was basically going to be a horrible show. Pat McAfee cut one of the worst promos in the history of this business. SmackDown is one of the worst shows in the history of this business. This show is, I'm telling you guys, go back to my last week review when I said that this show was so bad. You'd have to go back to 2011, 2012 when this show was absolutely on. And they would have Raw Superstars and it was the Raw Super Show. And it was SmackDown Stars on Raw. Then they canceled the brand split altogether when that era of SmackDown was so terrible. This show is a complete joke. And quite frankly, I don't even know why we continuously support this company and continuously keep watching it, because it's horrible. Let me know in the comment section down below how you guys felt about SmackDown tonight. It was an F-. This show gets a 0, an incomplete grade. That's how bad this was. This is like you getting a test and you get all the answers wrong and you don't even spell your name right on top of the test. That's how bad this show was tonight. Everything about it was bad. There was nothing good that came out of it, maybe except for Cody Rhodes' promo. But other than that, it was absolutely a joke, and it was absolutely terrible. Let me know in the comment section down below how you guys felt about the show. Do you agree with me? Was it terrible? Or do you like this show and thought it was a good show? Let me know your opinions in the comment section down below. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Please don't forget to like the video. Watch the videos all the way through so we help the channel continue to grow. Until next time, guys, see you real soon.